pronounced a law, the very first law that God pronounced, the law that could be broken, that God did not want to be broken, was in relation to this particular tree. Notice in Genesis chapter 2 in our King James Bibles, we have exactly 39 words that make up the law that God gave. Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. And in case you don't know this, 39 books in the Old Testament. Now I want you to get this idea, because the New Testament teaches us that we cannot be saved by what's in the Old Testament. In other words, we cannot have eternal life. The Old Testament will merely bring death to us. And so here we have literally, and I believe the law, and I believe it's good, but God gave us the law first for a reason. He tells us all these things that we have to do, and knowing that we cannot do them, knowing that the serpent's going to come and beguile us through his subtlety, knowing all of these things, and God provided a way through the New Testament for man to be saved. But the truth of it is, you cannot be saved by keeping the law. So here we have the Old Testament and the New Testament. You can choose to try to be saved and find eternal life through the Old Testament. That means that from birth, you can never have sinned ever one time. You can't do that. There are whole religions, including in Christianity. And we're seeing a massive influx into what used to be fundamental churches, of churches now that are establishing dogmas and doctrines and things that you have to do in order to be saved. You know what they're doing? They're saying we choose the law. We choose the law. In other words, we have to perform this certain function. We have to be baptized in such water, or we have to speak in tongues, or you have to perform this certain ritual, or you have to release something in order for God to do His work. And that's not how it is. And so the law, even Paul referred to the Old Testament as the law of sin and death. And Christ came to redeem us from the power of that law. So when we're looking at the symbol of the Masonic compass, let's say as it were, it has everything to do with the takeover of the man of sin on planet Earth, bringing in the destruction and the judgment that comes upon mankind versus the law. By the way, we saw those 10 circles there in the Sephiroth. Those 10 kings. You know what they represent? They represent God's judgment upon mankind because of His not keeping the 10 Commandments. See, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? And there was actually an imagery inside this Jeep commercial that put this number right in your face. It was like, and it was at the very beginning. I don't know if you caught this or not, so I'm going to show you a clip of it. Take a look at this, okay? See these? See this imprint here, this ink mark? It's 10 toes. That's the kingdom that Daniel referred to in Daniel chapter 2. We see it, the beast that he spoke of having 10 horns. In the book of Revelation, the beast that rises up out of the sea has 10 horns. The dragon has 10 horns. These 10 horns are 10 kings. And that imagery is put right in your face that this represents the kingdom of the last days. The kingdom of the Antichrist, these spirits, the 10 circles of the Sephiroth, taking over in the last days. And I just kind of paused the video here. It gives a date here of February 6, 2011. Now it gives a time here, and only the 11 is visible. Let's see here. We have the 10 horns, and then we have a little horn rising up. That's number 11. Revelation 9:11 is the king of the bottomless pit. But I go back to this date of 2/6/2011, and I just kind of did some adding. 2 plus 6 plus 20 plus 11 is 39. Are we? Is there something to? If we just see one thing, we go, well, okay, maybe. But a preponderance of the evidence leads me to believe that people are being bombarded with this idea, this imagery, to choose not the tree of life, but to choose the tree that has a spirit underneath it that needs to be released, a spirit that's hidden. Now, the other idea of a compass, you see it up on the screen here. Here is, and remember we talked about maps a while ago. Maps pretty much all have the same thing. Maps have a compass, maps have a key, and maps have a legend. And all of those elements have, we see inside of this commercial. The idea of the Jeep compass refers to what's called the compass rose. You don't see it so much on newer maps, but you see it on a lot of older maps. And I want you to notice that on these compass roses, here you have two examples here, they have lines that point in the direction of what's called the 32 cardinal points. And yet all 32 of these cardinal points refer back to what's known as the center point, or let's say it how some of the churches say it, the cross point. These go back to the cross point, which makes the 33rd point. Now, we have dealt with this before. Do you remember the flag, the old flag of Japan? Do you remember that? It had 32 rays surrounding it, all pointing you to the sun god. They believe the emperor is the sun god. The sun god, who is the 33rd point. This number we've already talked about, the 33 bones of the spinal column, and how the bold spirit that wants to be released is at the base of the spinal cord, must go up the 33 bones of the backbone to the pineal gland so that you can receive illumination. This is all about a legendary bloodline that is meant to bring mankind into Godhood. Let me throw something in here just very quickly. Let me throw this in. Remember the TV show The X-Files? Okay, the cross, the X, refers to the X chromosome. The main character of this thing, he was on a quest for the Holy Grail. He was looking for evidence of an alien invasion on planet Earth. They revealed at the end of this program that the invasion was going to take place December 21st, 2012. Okay, maybe they just made that up. But anyway, they talked about that, and they said that the aliens were going to come down and they were going to kill all of mankind with a virus. Mulder, who was a Jew, Mulder is the main character of this TV show. They find out that Mulder has something in his blood that is going to save mankind from the terrible alien invasion that's going to take place. And so they strap him down to a table like a cross. The cigarette-smoking man talks about how he's our Jesus Christ. He's going to save us. There's something in his blood. I get it. It's all about a bloodline. And so him and the Sophia character, who is Scully, think of the event, the TV show that's on right now. There's a red-headed Sophia character, and she's an alien, and they're going to take over planet Earth, and they're hybrids, and same story, different episode. But anyway, he mates with her, and they have a son who is now going to, the birth of this son is now going to be the hope of all mankind. And so anyway, this concept of Kundalini and releasing this serpent up the 33 bones to make men into gods has everything to do with this bloodline. The phrase, the beast, is mentioned 33 times in the New Testament of the King James Bible. The word beast is found in exactly 33 verses of the book of Revelation. Then we go back to 1 Kings chapter 20, verse 1. Here we have an invasion. An invasion of a king, Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, and he gathered all of his host together. Host is usually like an army word, but it can apply to the angelic realm as well. And we have Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, all of his host, and there were 32 kings with him, and horses and chariots. Go read Revelation 9 because they're there. And he went up and besieged Samaria and warred against it. When you besiege somebody, you know what you do? You encompass them. You surround them. Remember the zodiac. Zodiac meaning like a circle of living creatures or beasts surrounding planet Earth. And I'm telling you, we are being compassed right now by these false spirits and by this army that is about ready to take over planet Earth. You